I'm Elex Michaelson. This week, the issue is Larry Elder for president? We are one-on-one with the sage from South Central on why he's not running for governor, why he might run for president, and how he's trying to help the GOP right now. Plus, the issue is President Biden's agenda stalling. What's the path forward for voting rights, social spending, and actually delivering on more COVID-19 tests? With us, Elex Thompson, White House correspondent for Politico. Plus,
the controller has the ability to make a difference on just about everything in California.
A look at the most competitive statewide races in California down the ballot. The issue is starts right now.
Broadcasting across California, California's only statewide political show. You're watching The Issue Is.
And welcome to a new year here on The Issue Is. I'm Elex Michaelson. This week, as we learn more about the Omicron variant of COVID, we also learned a lot about who is running and who isn't running for top jobs in California this year. Larry Elder, who of course got more votes than any of Governor Newsom's challengers in the recall race, is not going to be running for governor this year. Instead, he started the Elder for America Political Action Committee, which is focused on helping Republicans win the House and Senate. Although with that picture and that logo, it looks a lot like Larry might be running for president. Who knows? Larry Elder, welcome back to The Issue Is. Are you running for president?
Elex, happy New Year. I like the way you get right to the point, don't you? Let's just remember how well we did. I was a candidate for all of 8 weeks. And in 8 weeks, we raised $22 million. We became the front runner right away. On the replacement side, we carry 57 of 58 counties in California. We got more votes, as you pointed out, than all of my rivals combined. And we got about 150,000 individual donations. Almost half of those came outside of California. And that's one of the reasons, Elex, why I decided to set up this PAC, elderforamerica.com, because so many people with no ties whatsoever to the state know that so goes California, so goes the nation. I'm a realist. I know that in California, Democrats and independents who typically vote Democrat outnumber Republicans almost 3-1. So I'm not sure a rematch in the short term would make a whole lot of sense. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I've set up elderforamerica.com.
Do you think that it is impossible right now for a Republican in California to win as California governor?
Right now, it would be extremely daunting. As you know, the issues were crime, the economy, the fact that people are leaving California for the first time. Yet still, when I talked about all these issues, all Gavin Newsom did was show a picture of Larry Elder side by side with Donald Trump, both of our thumbs up, and said, stop the Republican takeover. Obama cut a commercial, stop Republican takeover. Senator Warren, stop Republican takeover. Bernie Sanders, stop Republican takeover. Biden came in and said that I was more Trump than Trump or something like that. And it worked. It did not work in Virginia. It would not work in other states, but the electoral battlefield in California is daunting. It's not impossible, otherwise I wouldn't have tried it. But a recall election, Elex, is very different than a general one-to-one election. And I thought that with a plurality of the vote, I had a chance to become the next governor of California. In a mano-a-mano kind of race, given the electoral map, as I just now outlined, I think would be extremely challenging.
So basically, you made the decision not to run because you didn't think you could win.
Boy, Elex, I love the way you summarize it, but that's probably a good way of putting it. Not right now. The state has got to hit what I call rock bottom, and little by little we're getting there. Crime has gone up since I ran. The homelessness problem has not been solved since I ran. But I don't think California has hit rock bottom quite yet, so that some of the Democrats and independents are going to rethink their allegiance to the Democratic Party. Well, at least not just yet.
Well, somebody's got to run for governor against Governor Newsom. Who do you want to see challenge him? Anybody that you would support or endorse as a candidate?
Virtually anybody but Newsom. I'm going to support whoever is the Republican challenger, Republican nominee. Virtually anybody but Newsom. As you know, he shut down this state. Now we're finding out more and more that there are all sorts of unintended consequences. Rise in suicide, rise in homicide, rise in depression, rise in domestic violence. And so I think that sooner or later, there's going to be somebody who's going to be able to take this man on, but it's going to require voters to stop their knee-jerk hostility towards the Republican Party and knee-jerk hostility towards anybody who pulled the lever for Donald Trump. When I ran, as you know, people called me a Trump Republican. They didn't call me a Mitt Romney Republican. I voted for him. They didn't call me a John McCain Republican. I voted for him because Donald Trump in California is a four-letter word. I said during the campaign, the only person more hated than Donald Trump in California is Charlie Manson, and he's dead.
So do you think it needs to be a sort of never Trump Republican to win in this state?
Well, if you have a never Trump Republican, you're probably not going to excite the Republican base. Look, Trump was the standard bearer. Did you want me to vote for Hillary? Did you want me to vote for Joe Biden? I don't understand why it is that people went nuts over the fact that I voted for Donald Trump. I'm not going to vote for somebody who's going to tax, spend, and regulate. And so I haven't voted for a Democrat since 1976, and that was Jimmy Carter, and I regret that.
So you're now focusing on the House and Senate, where Republicans do have a very good shot at winning. What is
Absolutely.
Elder for America? How does it work?
Well, it's a political action committee. I'm asking people to throw a little something in the tip jar to raise money so that I can campaign for and help support financially candidates, particularly those who are in tough districts, so that the Republicans can take back the House and take back the Senate. And also, as you know, a lot of stuff is happening at the school board level. We're having all of this nonsense about critical race theory. I want to do something to make sure that doesn't happen. And I want to support school choice, so the money follows the child rather than the other way around. Half of all third graders in California cannot read at state levels of proficiency. It's outrageous. So I want to do something about that.
We joked about the logo Elder for America and it looking like a presidential run, but is that something you might be interested in? Is there any part of you that is considering running for president?
Who knows what the future will bring? Larry Elder is only pawn in game of life. All I know is that in the near term, I'm not going to challenge Gavin Newsom in 2022. There won't be a rematch. I'm sure he's breathing a sigh of relief. But regarding that, I have no idea how my future holds. If the phone rings, I'm going to answer it.
I mean, that sounded like at least a maybe, which is usually a yes in politics.
Well, Alex, I enjoy campaigning far more than I thought I would. With all due respect, I think I was pretty good at it. I enjoy dealing with people, meeting people. I enjoy hearing about their issues. And I miss radio far less than I thought I would. So I'm somebody who is interested in politics, interested in politicians, and I never was before. I never, ever thought that I would be the front runner. As you know, I was right away, and my lead only got bigger and bigger. The last time I ran for office was third grade class president, and I carried 3 out of 4 rows. So for somebody who's the rookie, I did pretty well, and I really did enjoy it. So I'm not closing the door on what might happen down the road.
Let's talk more about you. How did the recall change you? Because you're such a big radio star, you go through this massive sort of explosion of attention, then you take a little break, go back to the radio. Where are you at now, mindset-wise? Are you a changed person? Does it feel like I'm just back to doing what I was doing before?
No, I'm changed forever. Once you do something like this and go through something like this, it changes you forever. It was the most grueling thing I ever did. These were 18-hour days, and virtually every one of my press conferences you showed up at, so you know how hard I worked and how hard you worked in covering me. It made me more connected. It made me believe in America even more. As unhappy as I was with the outcome of the election, so many people came up to me crying, telling me that if you win, I'll stay. If you lose, I'm going to leave. And I think that we ignited things all across the country. So I'm very proud of some of the issues that we raised. And
now, who knows, the big takeaway for me on this, maybe Larry for president. That's what I'm hearing from what you said.
Well, I'm reminded of what Walter Cronkite once said when people wanted him to run for office. He said, "I love to be a senator. I hate to have to run." So if you can figure out some sort of way of appointing me president, again, I will not refuse to take the phone call. But right now, I want people to go to my website, elderforamerica.com, throw a little something in the tip jar, and let's retake the House, retake the Senate. Let's campaign for school choice. Let's get rid of some of these soft on crime DAs, and let's make sure that criminals are punished for the crimes that they commit.
Larry, before we say goodbye to you, we need to see some more of your moves. One of our favorite moments of last year was your dancing to the Temptations on our show. So as we get ready for more of The Issue Is, here's more of Larry Elder showing off his
Elex,
stuff.
I saw you dancing with Governor Gavin Newsom. I got to tell you something. My moves are better than that.
Come on, Larry.
On this day of remembrance, we must make sure that such attack never happens again.
President Biden delivering remarks on January 6th this week as Congress contemplates what comes next. Let's talk about the president's agenda with one of the top reporters in all of Washington. Elex Thompson is with us for the very first time. Elex is the best journalist to come out of my high school, Agora High School. These days, he is one of the co-authors of the West Wing playbook for Politico. He's a White House correspondent who is also working on a book on the Biden administration. Elex, welcome to The Issue Is, and go Agora Chargers.
That's right. And I'm at least the second best journalist after you to come out of Agora.
Oh, okay. All right. Enough of that. All right. Well, let's start, though, with the big issue of the week, which is COVID. And COVID got personal for you.
Yeah, I am positive for COVID as of this morning. So, I was also invited even on MSNBC later, but I said no, but I was never going to cancel on you.
Yeah, okay. Well, we appreciate you sticking with us. But let's talk, and glad you're feeling okay and feeling up to doing this. But let's talk, though, broadly about the issue of COVID. Clearly, you were able to get a test to know that you're now COVID positive, but there's a lot of folks that are struggling to get tests. Back in December, President Biden promised that he would have 500 million tests start going out in January. That hasn't happened yet. Is this an example of the president over-promising and under-delivering?
Trying to get 500 million tests and then having them mailed out within a month is an incredible logistical challenge. Really, the failure comes from last July and last summer when the Biden administration really put all their eggs in the vaccine basket. And they basically thought they were on their way to getting out of this. They had that big party on the White House lawn on Independence Day, independence from the virus. So, they sort of took their foot off the gas when it came to testing and when it came to masks. So right now we have a situation where lots of people are still wearing cloth masks, which are not nearly as effective against Omicron, and the testing shortages are everywhere. Yes, I got a test, but that was also because I stood in line with 400 people outside a library the other day while I probably had COVID and perhaps even infected some people. So, we're looking at potentially some of these tests going out as soon as late next week. But even then, you're not even going to get close to the 500 million mark, probably at least until February, if not much later.
It seems like there's a lot of blame being shifted behind the scenes, including a lot at CDC Director Rochelle Walensky.
Absolutely. Some of the Biden administration scientists, in particular, Dr. Fauci, disagree with some of her decisions. And so what you've increasingly seen is what was at first whispers and frustrations over the first few months are starting to come out into view, where a lot of Biden people are talking to reporters like myself and like people at the New York Times on background and anonymously and sort of pointing out some missteps that Rochelle Walensky has made.
Meanwhile, another big story this week is January 6th, the anniversary, and we heard a more aggressive tone than ever from President Biden towards former President Donald Trump during that speech. Is this going to be a new trend? Is that what your White House sources are talking about?
I don't think so. I think a lot of Democrats would like that. But, Biden has really resisted his entire first year talking, using the T word. We've almost become like a he who must not be named figure inside the White House. But I can tell you a lot of White House people were doing sort of a cleanup and tampering down expectations yesterday after it seemed that maybe this was like some sort of pivot point.
A lot of folks on the left say a way to prevent another January 6th is to actually pass voting rights legislation, which hasn't happened so far. Democratic Senators Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema have been unwilling to change the Senate rules so Democrats could pass this on their own. So this Joe Biden-Joe Manchin relationship could really be the key, not only to voting rights, but also to social spending, really the president's entire agenda. So what's the deal? What's happening between the two Joes right now?
Well, I can tell you that relationships are not good between the two Joes. You saw there was this huge dust-up in December when Joe Manchin honestly caught a lot of the White House off guard when he went on a Fox News Sunday and basically said, I'm not going to vote for this bill. And I can tell you that Joe Biden tried to get Joe Manchin on the phone before he did that interview and could not get through. Now, when you're the president and someone's not taking your calls, and then it leaks that they're not taking your calls, it's a pretty embarrassing humiliating gesture. Now, since then, there's been sort of a little bit of a standoff of who's going to call who first. But the Joe and Joe relationship is not good, which, to your bigger point of what does this mean for voting rights? I can tell you that the expectations for a big comprehensive voting rights bill that Democrats have been advocating is extremely unlikely. Now, the White House has enlisted a lot of allies, including everyone from Oprah to Bill Clinton, to call Joe Manchin to try to sway him. But all indications I've had so far are that Joe Manchin is not going to do a voting rights bill unless it has Republican support. And right now, that doesn't look like that's going to happen.
So just to be clear, Joe Manchin took Oprah's call, but not Joe Biden's call?
That's a really pithy way of saying it. But yes, that did happen.
Yeah, that's sort of the state of the world, right? Alex is sticking with us. As we go to break, though, Alex, we like to play music on this show. So this is Prince's Controversy, because coming up next, what is going on behind the scenes in the office of California's own Vice President, Kamala Harris? There's been no shortage of controversies there, but this is not controversial. Alex Thompson has some good moves. Oh, yeah. Woo! Vice President Kamala Harris's poll numbers have consistently been going down, 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 and several members of her staff have recently left the White House. Supposed to be a bit of a reset this week. The vice president announced that she has a new communications chief named Jamal Simmons, and then almost instantly, a new controversy. We're back with Elex Thompson of Politico. Alex, what happened with Jamal Simmons?
Yeah, it's never a good sign when you have to apologize on your first day. He basically sent a tweet in around 2010, which talked about how he had seen two undocumented people on TV and asked why ICE was not picking them up. And then obviously this was pointed out, it was from 2010, but it did seem to catch the vice president's office and the White House off guard. He posted a statement, sent a statement to me apologizing. He then did another clarifying tweet. And also you're seeing a sort of slow motion reset in that office. A lot of people are leaving or are on their way out, and a lot of new people are being hired.
What's the relationship like between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and what's the relationship like between their staffs?
It's such an important distinction, Alex, because between Harris herself and Biden, everything that I've heard from my sources say it's quite good. And honestly, the real reason for that is because of Beau Biden. Beau Biden was, Joe's late son who died of cancer. But before he died, he and Harris were very close friends. And the staff is a whole different issue. The staffs have not really liked each other. It's not universal, but there's definitely been a lot more contention, a lot more frustration, a lot more passive aggressive, lack of communicating, between the two staffs. And I can even tell you, inside the West Wing, it's sort of openly talked about as Pete as the successor rather than Harris.
When he says Pete, he means Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of Transportation who ran last time and will be joining us next week here on The Issue Is. All right, before we let you go, we like to play a game called Personal Issues. This is to get to know our guests a little bit better. We put 30 seconds on the clock, rapid fire questions. This is where we have some fun. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. What is your favorite TV show?
Succession.
What's your favorite band of all time?
Red Hot Chili Peppers. Keep it SoCal.
What's your all-time favorite book?
Things That Carried by Tim O'Brien.
Best vacation spot?
Hawaii.
Who is the all-time best Agora High School student body president?
Oh, that's Elex Michaelson.
There we go. Ding! You got that one. Politico endorsed. That's something else.
That's
all right,
right.
Alex, it is great to have you with us. And thanks for coming on. Since you really deserve a Californication after you are done with this COVID isolation, we leave you with a little Red Hot Chili Peppers and more of your dance moves. Take it away.
Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication.
This week, we learned that Republican Assemblyman Kevin Kiley is not running for governor again, as he did in the recall election, but instead will be running for Congress. In fact, Governor Newsom doesn't have a single well-known announced challenger yet, but some of the other statewide races are already getting crowded. The race for California Controller. That's the person who oversees the state's more than $250 billion budget.
The controller has the ability to make a difference on just about everything in California.
LA City Controller Ron Galperin entered the race this week and immediately earned the backing of California's current controller, Betty Yee. Galperin had previously announced he was running for LA County Supervisor, but made a mid-campaign change. Why are you running for controller and not now running for Board of Supervisors?
Well, I think controller is in my blood.
In the last 8.5 years as controller at LA City Hall, Galperin made the city's books more transparent and easier to access online.
I want to do these very same things for the whole of the state.
Galperin is the son and grandson of Holocaust survivors. He's an openly gay husband and father of 28-month-old twins.
It is not I who am the controller at home. It is they who are.
Also in the controller's race, Malia Cohen, a Democrat currently on the State Board of Equalization, and Stanford's Lanhee Chen, a former advisor to Mitt Romney, hoping to be the first Republican elected statewide since Arnold Schwarzenegger back in 2006. We profiled Chen back in July.
It's not about partisanship. It's not about ideology. It is fundamentally about competence.
Of course, we'll cover that race and always include some fun as well. Let's leave you with more dancing from Larry Elder. I'm Elex Michaelson. We'll see you next week.